August in Istanbul. The height of summer and peak season for the staff at Turkish Airlines. Shifting 173,000 passengers each day, it's their toughest time of year. And for the first time, Turkish Airlines has allowed cameras behind the scenes to see how their 40,000 staff cope with arguments,
Hanımefendi, ne demek istiyorsun sen be?
Polis çağırın.
Çağırın polisi ya.
to keeping on schedule,
Yüklemeyi durdurun abi, uçak değişti.
from in-flight secrets
I think I might take a little nap and then maybe watch a movie.
to illegal passengers.
What is that? Are you coming from Cyprus, right? No, this is not enough. I'm asking about your country.
Running an international airline is a huge challenge. During peak season, it's like playing three-dimensional chess. 6:30 a.m.
Our next intermediate alternate is going to be Rome, Fujiyama, which is cover conditions.
The 3 pilots needed for Turkish Airlines' daily flight to Brazil will be taking off in 3 hours.
We'll just receive all their information for the flight. Everything looks suitable. Looks like it's going to be a fairly smooth flight down to Sao Paulo.
Captain Hakan Turgut is part Turkish pilot, part Aussie adrenaline junkie.
I've had 3 big passions in my life, you know, one being motorcycles, flying, and boxing the other. And I was just quite fortunate to make a career out of flying. So it looks like everything's in place, so...
Hakan's flying 6,500 miles today. He has to be ready for anything. Lives are in his hands.
Going over the Atlantic, there's some little cloud build-up there which could affect us a little bit. If there's anything unusual built up, we'll try to deviate it around it just to make sure that we're doing a safe flight.
Hakan will be taking over a plane that's been delayed on its inbound journey. The team has only an hour to turn it around, otherwise they'll miss their designated takeoff slot. And missing it could mean a further delay waiting for another one.
But still cleaning is being done.
Not everyone's sensing the urgency.
Evet arkadaşlar, başlayabilirsiniz bir an önce. Ama arkadaşlar, this is our cabin maintenance log.
While Banu checks the log for glitches, a new one appears. The door seems jammed and won't close. If it doesn't, this plane is going nowhere. Each plane is checked weekly, daily, and then before every flight. The final inspection is done by the pilots themselves. Many airline pilots are rated to fly either Boeing or Airbus. For Hakan, it's Boeing, and today it's a 777, a plane he knows like the back of his hand.
Every 6 months we need to go into the simulator. We need to prove that we can handle the aircraft in all different kinds of conditions, with engine failures, hydraulic failures, cabin pressure problems, you name it. We have to deal with it.
Some muscle arrives to help with the rear door. All that's needed now is a little elbow grease. When a plane's in the air, it's earning money. When it's on the ground, it's not. Turkish Airlines want arriving planes ready to take off again as soon as possible. But this time, things aren't going to plan.
Yüklemeyi durdurun abi, uçak değişti. Okey, bunların hepsi benim artık. Abi yüklemeyin, uçak değişiyor. Geri boşaltın. İndirin abi. Basma, basma. Basma, basma. Basma.
Ibrahim Özdemir coordinates these turnarounds.
This is my job. This is my mission.
Ibrahim had this plane ready for boarding when they discovered a problem.
For engine start, aircraft need a APU. When we doesn't work, engine don't start.
Without a working auxiliary power unit, the plane's like a car without a battery. As 150 passengers gather at the gate, Ibrahim needs another plane, and fast.
Sometimes we have a surprise.
Out of nowhere, Ibrahim's day just got a lot more complicated. After a problem with a plane, Ibrahim Özdemir urgently needs another one for a flight to Denmark.
Bundan geliyor.
587'den geliyor işte. Gelmiş
Tamam,
gece.
gelmiş.
Gelmiş yani.
Verilmemiş o zaman. Sierra 2 o, tamam. Tamam, Sierra 2. Sierra 2.
Now, armed with the information he needs and a later departure slot, Ibrahim's all set for a speedy turnaround.
My aircraft, the waiting aircraft, is Sierra 2. This is park position. It's here.
As the handlers load the new plane, it's critical that the baggage is split between the front and rear holds to keep the plane balanced. Otherwise, it could tail strike during takeoff or landing, like on this test footage of a Boeing 747 trying out tail strike protection kit. It's a scenario all airlines strive to avoid. "40 minutes until departure, and the plane still needs to be cleaned.
We have just 12 minutes for cleaning. Yes, 12 minutes, all aircraft. We have 3 minutes. Kargoyu almıyoruz.
Ibrahim thinks they'll make it. The flight's 150 passengers have now been delayed for well over an hour.
I will start boarding. Okay. Passenger will be come here
10 minutes.
10-15 minutes
Okay,
later.
no problem. You can start.
I say all person, passenger services and team leader and cleaning. Come on. Yes, go outside, please go outside. We don't have enough time.
Boarding finally starts, but the plane won't be going anywhere until Ibrahim finishes the paperwork.
All person working for this. This is very important for aircraft. This is weight and balance document. I will give to captain.
It tells the flight crew precisely how heavy the plane is and how the weight's distributed. With it, they can be sure to get off the ground without tail strike and maximize fuel efficiency. After loading one plane, unloading it, then starting all over again, Ibrahim's now ready for pushback. Despite all of that, it's only 2 hours behind schedule. Safety, not schedules, is always the top priority.
Finished operation and I will go other flights.
But just as they're about to start boarding, they find a reclining seat in business class that won't oblige.
It doesn't work, so if you just call the technicians, they're just going to come and help us to, maybe they'll forget some stuff.
There's not much time. Banu's team have 36 minutes to get 270 passengers on board, or their departure for Brazil will be delayed. It's 25 minutes until the Brazil flight is due to depart. The emergency mechanic called out to fix the reclining seat gets it moving again. It's time for the cabin crew to engage their customer service smile. Out of passengers' earshot, the pilots prepare for worst-case scenarios.
We'll only stop for 4 things: any kind of fire, engine failure, wind shear, or the inability of the aircraft to fly. After V1, as always, we'll continue.
Cabin Chief Banu Ozansoy uses a meet and greet to help avoid any trouble in the cabin.
Under my smiling face, I check them, because some passengers may come to the aircraft drunk and they may have some psychological problems. When I see them first, I check. If I am suspicious about the passenger's behavior, I inform my cabin crew until we close the door.
Okay, G, other aisle, please.
Banu's content that everyone is fit to travel and no one's behaving suspiciously.
This is the last point before we close the door.
That just completes my briefing. In addition to that, if anybody sees anything out of the ordinary, please speak up. Let's go out there and come back home safely. Are there any questions? Any questions, Michael?
To Brazil is one of 470 Turkish Airlines flights to leave Ataturk today. Pushback, and only 37 minutes late.
We all ready?
Yes, sir.
Runway 35, right on runway 3.
After 20 years as a pilot, Hakan has not lost the thrill of flying.
Once you actually get airborne, the freedom that you feel and the adrenaline rush you get, it doesn't feel like work. I feel like I've been retired and we'll get to fly this awesome machine around. I don't think life gets any better than that.
Climbing out of Istanbul, flight TK-15 begins its journey a quarter of the way around the planet. Hakan figures he can easily make up the delay en route. Brazil flight is 2.5 hours underway. Time for flying chef Eren Gunkaya to take center stage.
I'm ready for service. I'm now preparing canapes, eggplants. Starting to prepare our main course service.
With 2 tiny ovens to finish cooking the pre-prepared meals, Eren's job is all about presentation.
When I go to the cabin, passengers look at me and they're shocked. It's really nice. It's really nice. Sometimes I'm walking in the cabin, I'm making a catwalk. I'm making eye contact with the passenger. It's really nice.
Up in the air, Eren is able to strut his stuff because he's the tip of the catering iceberg. 4.25 hours into the flight, and the business class passenger whose wife snuck in from economy has had another visit.
This time his son came to the front. Again, I gave information. Please go back to your seat. They think they can come and visit business class frequently, but this is not right because they may bother other passengers. They know, but they do it. You have to be open wide.
As there's 3 flight crew and only 2 are needed once George is in control, each of them gets a 3-hour break. Tucked away behind the cockpit is the exclusive pilot's rest area.
Since we were up so early this morning, we're up about 5:30, so I think I might take a little nap and then maybe watch a movie.
While the cabin lights are dimmed, Banu's crew also slink off for a nap.
The half of the cabin is sleeping now. I'm going to show you, but you have to be quiet.
tucked up near the tail of the plane is the cabin crew's dormitory.
There are 8 bunks, beds here. Old people are sleeping. 15 minutes before the second service, we wake them up. You can sleep,
Take off their uniform. They wear their pajamas. And before the service, they have to renew their makeup and just leave.
On the final leg of the journey to Brazil, flying chef Eren Gunkaya is about to spring a surprise on an unsuspecting passenger.
Today we have birthday cake. After all, we are going to be served as a passenger, and we are making a really nice surprise. Başlıyoruz. Şefim ben tutayım, sen servis. Yani doğum gününüz kutlu olsun. Nice mutlu yıllar diyoruz.
It's all smiles in business class. After 12.5 hours in the skies, the flight to Brazil is ready to come back to Earth.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, Captain speaking. Shortly we'll be commencing a descent into Sao Paulo International.
With autopilot George now retired from the flight deck, the plane and the passengers are back in the hands of Captain Hakan Turgut.
Altimeters 1023 passing 7,400 now. Check. It's never the same as the previous flight. Things happen at a very fast pace, so you need to think quick and you need to assess what's going on around you. As you saw, the weather was all clear. Normally coming into Sao Paulo, especially in the summertime, we get a lot of CBs around. It makes it a little bit difficult to get in. But today was, perfect weather conditions. Couldn't ask for a better approach. Yes?
Other than the occasional invasion into business class, it's been a straightforward flight for Banu and her crew.
It was perfect. There was no problem. My crew was fine. My passengers were happy. And there was no problem.
The praise heaped on Eren suggests the chefs did pretty well too.
We see the passengers satisfied, and we are feeling really nice.
That's why we are on board.
Of course.
After flying 6,500 miles, the team now get at least 24 hours off before making the return journey. The next 24 hours at Turkish Airlines will bring a whole new set of challenges for their 40,000 staff. From the tarmac, to the baggage halls, on the ground and in the air. In a 24/7 exercise in coordination, precision and the human touch, they will carry another 173,000 people to their destinations worldwide.